without me.
I could stick around and get along with you. Hello, oh, oh, oh. It doesn't really mean that I'm into you. Hello, oh, oh, oh. You're alright, but I'm your darling to enjoy the party. Yeah, I think you're cute, but really you should know. I just came to say hello.
Okay, guys, he's not here yet. We have to start the countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2.
Welcome to You Make the Call, Student Television's one and only sports talk and debate show. I'm your host, Andy Reeves. Feeling a little under the weather this evening. I apologize for any voice difficulties I might have, but I'm still excited to get this show underway. But before we do, I need to introduce my co-panelists for the evening. To my right, Will Reimer, the producer of this show. Great to have you back from behind the scenes and on the camera once again. And to his right, we have Ryan Davis. You should be very familiar with that face. He's been around for a long time. Let's dive right in, guys. First topic, Carolina basketball. Now, we all remember the loss last week to Duke, the one-point heartbreaker on Austin Rivers' buzzer beater. I was there. It was hard to live through. And then the Virginia game on Saturday, nice bounce-back game for the Heels. Didn't shoot the ball particularly well, but dominated the game nonetheless. Guys, do these two games kind of balance each other out in terms of Carolina's resume and reputation?
Yes and no, Andy. I think that the Duke game kind of stands as two different games to me. Through the first 38 minutes of the game, really, Carolina played the game you expected them to play. They came back from being down early, played well in the second half, dominate the majority of that second half for the final 2 minutes, and have this freak loss where everything seems to go wrong. Turnovers by Kendall and Harrison, missed free throws by Zeller, obviously the tipped-in long two that Kelly makes. And so I really feel like that game can't be judged as a bad performance by Carolina, more like an epic collapse by Carolina against Virginia. To me, they seemed pretty hungover in the first half of that game, as did all the fans in the Smith Center. But then in the second half, they kind of take care of business and get the win. So I think for me, Carolina is still a lot of the same team I thought they were all season long. They're a good team, a very talented team, but I don't know if they're going to be able to fix the lack of ability to close a team out and to close out a game strong. And for me, the Virginia game didn't answer that question.
I mean, to me, you kind of said they were both the same game. There were two different games from the Duke game. I believe that both games, there was a similar performance. We saw the exact same Carolina team. To me, Zeller had 23 against Duke, had 25 against UVA, 9 rebounds, I think, both games. I'm not sure. I think both games we played the exact same. The difference was we were playing two different teams. I mean, the first game, Duke shoots 14 of 36 from beyond the three-point line. That's the difference in the game right there. I mean, that's what it is. And on Saturday, UVA shot just 3 of 16 from beyond the three. I mean, we dominated inside for both games. We played just the same for both games. But, yeah, we didn't make critical errors down at the end. But, you know, Roy Williams on his press conference after the game Saturday said, you know what, sometimes you have to credit the other team. And, you know, Duke made good plays down the stretch on Wednesday, and Carolina didn't make those good plays. They made bad plays. They just haven't done anything to necessarily show you that they're going to correct that. But in terms of how it affects their reputation, the Duke game obviously means more to everyone in this area, and I think it means a lot more because to you know, people in the national media, because Duke was a higher-ranked team and we were playing at home. I mean, I guess both games were at home, but we lost to Duke at home.
Well, guys, I need to ask you, what trend seems to concern you more? Now, Duke, I think each game showed us a problem that this team has been having all year long. The Duke game, the lack of a clear leader, the lack of a guy to take over when the going gets tough. And Virginia, they just shot poorly. They were able to out-talent UVA a little bit there, but not a very good performance really on the whole, especially on the offensive end. Which trend concerns you more as the tournament approaches?
They're obviously both pretty concerning trends here. I mean, a team that can't make any threes, obviously against Duke. Duke makes 14, Carolina makes 1. That's a big margin to make up, and that's kind of what makes the difference in the game. I think why Duke's able to come back like that. And then the same game, not having anyone to close out the game. Zeller seemed so incredibly nervous at the free throw line at the end there. Harrison not making a shot. He makes UNC's last basket and then misses his last shot of the game that would have, given Carolina a nice little lead that they really could have used, obviously. So while they're both big problems, I'll say that having someone to close out the game seems to be the bigger issue for this team. Last year, Harrison Barnes and Tyler Zeller both were closers for Carolina at different times, and this year, it seems like neither one of them has stepped up in the way that they did a year ago. So when you get in the tournament, the close games, the ACC tournament, NCAA tournament, that's going to be a big problem.
Well, I'd like to raise an additional point to this argument, and it's that I think, personally, that if UNC shoots the ball better, they may not need a closer because they're so talented, so deep, they run the floor so well, they might just be able to outscore everybody if they just shoot at 45% every game. But it seems like game after game, 35, 38% seems to be a mark that they tend to hit against big-time opponents.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up a good point, Andy, and that's kind of what I was going to say is the shooting is more concerning to me because championship teams, championship basketball teams, obviously they have to have someone who can close out those tight games. But you've said Zeller and Barnes have shown that in the past. So you think that eventually that will come out again, maybe. I mean, Zeller was stellar. Sorry for the rhyme there, I guess.
Nice
but
poetry there,
when the in the NCAA tournament, and you got to think that eventually he's going to. And he's playing great right now anyway. So to me, the three-point shooting is and shooting in general, I guess, but mainly three-point shooting is the biggest concern because when you think of national championship teams, they have to have balance. I mean, obviously playing inside is much more important. That's why Duke generally struggles in the tournament because the adage is live and die by the three. But you can't just solely rely on being getting all your points from 2-point baskets inside and just dominating points in the paint because those baskets are only worth 2 points. And if the other team can, shoot threes and shoot them relatively well, like Duke showed us, like they showed at the Duke game on Wednesday, you're not going to come out on top.
Another problem that you have when you're an inside team and you can't shoot the three is they'll just pack the paint and make things really difficult for Tyler Zeller and John Henson down low.
Yeah, and I think that you're right about the three-point issues and shooting in general. If you can pick up the pace in the shooting department, then you're not going to have so many close games. But I think no matter how well you're shooting the ball, when you get to March and it's the Elite Eight, the Final Four, assuming UNC makes it that far, you're going to have close games. And no matter how well you're shooting the ball, Kentucky's going to play you tight, Syracuse is going to play you tight, Missouri's going to play you tight. One of those teams will play just as well as you are, and that's when it's going to be really critical to have Harrison Barnes or Tyler Zeller or both of them step up in crunch time and be able to really close out a team in the way that we haven't seen them really do this year.
I'm going to jump in there.
Well, speaking, I think we need to move the conversation forward just a little bit, but because we really want to use this show as an opportunity to look forward to the NCAA tournament. And a potential problem we could see with this team, in addition to the ones we've already mentioned, is a lack of depth. This team is not the one that we thought we would have coming into the season in terms of, Dexter Strickland out with the ACL injury. Leslie McDonald's not coming back. P.J. Hairston will be back for the next game, but who knows for how long. He's been dinged up all season long. And then, even Reggie Bullock, is he providing any depth? The way he's shooting the ball, is he really even worth having on the floor at this point? Things are bad in that department. Where do you guys see the final seeding coming out here for Carolina?
I think right now UNC is a 2 seed and not a high 2 seed. I think they're one of the lower 2 seeds at this point. Now, by the end of the season, I think that UNC may win out the rest of their schedule, may lose that second Duke game. Hopefully will get, not hopefully, I assume that they'll make it to the ACC championship game, and I think that whoever wins the ACC tournament will be a #1 seed. But for now, I don't think that they have enough in the resume to move past they're number 8 right now. So the 7 teams ahead of them, I don't think they can jump 5 of those teams.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Lunardi has them as a 2 right now, and you just got to think that they're going to be somewhere between a 1 and a 3. I don't see them going below a 3, but if things go just haywire, I mean, I guess you could see them becoming a 4 or something like that. But it is interesting to me that something that was a strength at the beginning of the year, our depth and how many people we could play, has become a weakness for us now.
Yeah, it seems like Duke, Virginia, even NC State, all at least equally deep teams now, and that's just hard to fathom. I mean, Florida State is clearly deeper now than Carolina, and we thought that UNC would probably be the deepest team in the country.
Yeah, and when you have Reggie Bullock, PJ Hairston, Dexter Strickland, Leslie McDonald, that's a lot of players trying to play minutes at the same position, basically. But now when you've lost 3 of those guys, all of a sudden you have a position group that is almost too deep. You can't find enough minutes for all those guys. All of a sudden, Reggie Bullock has to play 30 minutes a game, and PJ Hairston's health is in question. Obviously, Dexter and Leslie are lost for the season, so that's become a really big question mark here.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is Kendall Marshall's having to play big minutes, and you can kind of already see some signs of fatigue. I think so, and kind of the turnovers that he's been making. I mean, that just kind of, to me, seems a little bit like mental fatigue, just playing too much. So, Dexter Strickland's a big loss, and now Reggie Bullock having to play 30 minutes a game. He has bad knees, so you wonder if that's going to affect him at all.
And he's not producing.
No,
I mean,
right.
he is just not shooting the ball very well at all.